Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a Ko-Fi, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now we are joined by Neil, Duncan, OK Computer, Eli, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Let's get it on!
Good morning. Good morning.
Hello,
Discord
everyone.
and YouTube.
Did you say hello, everyone on YouTube? Hello, you in YouTube land watching. I remember they used to say that when you used to get a member of the public on TV. Hello, everyone in TV land, looking down the camera. Hello, Mum. Hope you're watching. Well, it's a good day. It's a very good day. I've got caffeine in my bloodstream. I'm very happy indeed.
Good. Let's get the ball rolling.
Yeah, well, there was a Candace Owens video that we covered of her personally about 2 weeks ago, and then we ended up discussing but not actually playing her recent video that Brian had shared with me, where at the end she's talking about flat Earth by virtue of a commenter saying, you know, don't discount this subject, don't give up, it's a good subject to keep looking into, but specifically mentioned the topic flat Earth. But prior to that, at the earlier part of her stream or video or whatever it was talking about the rejection of science incorrectly, which is to say that what she has correctly identified as nonsense, she is still incorrectly ascribing the title of science as the people who have bullshitted her have done. They've taken the labels of an empirical method, that's science, hypothesis construction, experiment theory, all of these words that mean something, and ascribe them to nonsense just so stories. Well, that makes what they have punted pseudoscience. But up until this point, we've had Candace throwing the baby out with the bathwater and saying, I understand that science is flawed, and, you know, that typical sort of sentiment that many of us have experienced, which is to say, you recognise that people who are claiming to be science are not truthful, or have peddled incorrect information, or have changed their rhetoric, or have done things that would not be conducive with the empiricism that actual science has to offer. So upon finding this out, you go, well, science is wrong. Science is bad. Like, no, it wasn't science to begin with. They just claimed it was because it then offers the idea to the person that hears those words of proof, empiricism, which is what the scientific method actually offers. So if you can take the method that offers empirical evidence at the end of the process, that's the scientific method, and just use the words associated with that method that offers empiricism to your nonsense and call it science, then people will ultimately throw the baby out with the bathwater when they reject your nonsense. What we are here to say is science is empirical. It's a methodology for establishing the cause of an effect you observe in nature. It is the basis for almost all of our technological advancements in the 20th and 21st century. Science has improved humanity, but 99% of what is peddled as science is not. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Learn what science actually is so you can identify the nonsense when they peddle it as science. And that is to say, learn what the scientific method is. So with that in mind, I'll ask a couple of housekeeping questions just to keep the globers involved, keep their hand in, so to speak. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
We're going to need an observed phenomenon, and I don't think we have one of those.
No, we do not. Not for gravity. What about any single... Go ahead, whoever that was from G+.
The only relevant observed phenomenon that I can think of is the tides. But of course, there's not going to be any independent variable.
Yeah, I mean, the tides are a phenomena. I'll give you that. But scientific validity for tides would be to say you assume a cause of that effect, tides, vary it, and cause the effect.
One of my favorite questions is to ask them, how are you going to vary and manipulate the gravity of the moon to prove it causes tides? And of course, they can't.
Yeah, well, you're basing that within their presuppositional rhetoric, but that's fine. Yeah, how are you going to vary it if you got them to formulate it into a quasi claim to be scientific prediction, aka hypothesis? The independent variable for their rhetoric in heliocentrism would be the moon. That's the causal influencer according to them. Nevertheless, yeah, that's not been scientifically validated. The tidal influencer being the gravitational field of the moon when it's not a force and hasn't been for 109 years is kind of crazy. Moving on, any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
They only have observed phenomenons, no independent variables.
Right. Observe and declare. Okay. So, as is always the case, I'm going to get my audience, although there's only 50 people here, we've only just started, so I'll do it again. I'll do another call to action later, but I'm going to pop the link to this videographer who we are covering today in the live stream chat. So, go and let the videographer know. At Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me, and just let him know that we've done a little response video. Now, there was a certain amount of sentiment from the Discord and G+ server, for that matter, that the subject matter of the video should be the person that's contacted about our response in this regard. So this particular response video from Secular Talk, that's the videographer we're actually covering, and that's the link that I'm asking you now, if you're in the live stream, to go and click on.
Him, oh my God.
What?
Secular Talk, I used to watch his videos like religiously.
Well, brilliant. Thank you. Yeah, so click on the link that's going by in the live stream chat and let Secular Talk know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. The video we're covering is called Candace Owens leaves, quote, the cult of science, end quote, flirts with flat earth, the Kyle Kulinski show. Have I said his name correctly? Hopefully so. So this is
Yes, you did.
Kyle. Go ahead.
No, yeah, that's his name. You said it correctly. Kyle Kulinski. Yeah.
But yeah, let
I'm
him
sorry.
know.
This is just a sour. This is definitely going to be a sour one for me because when I stopped watching him, I just felt like there were definitely topics that he could have researched better, and it just seemed like he just didn't. And now hearing that we're gonna have this conversation about him is just gonna. But it's gonna be an interesting one, guys.
Sure. I will get to the end of this call to action eventually, though. So please let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me, as I say, the link is whizzing its way by. Yeah, let him know that we've done a response. However, it may be the case that he's not necessarily the correct respondent, as much as we wish to help him in the YouTube algorithmic love by sending him people to comment and like and do all those good things. We would hope that were he to do a response, he would put a link to my video, share it in the algorithmic love that we as flat earthers definitely do not receive from YouTube, since Congress told them not to, in essence. So, were he to make a response, we would hope he would put a link to our video. But in the meantime, as I am sharing the love with everybody, big and small, please let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. Help him in the YouTube algorithm, boost him up by giving him a comment, leaving him a like, and just pointing him in the direction of this video. And this is an extended call to action on account of the fact that Mighty Mush was saying in the pre-show that Candice herself might be the person that's best responded to, which is to say, I can assume that this guy's going to be attacking the notions that she's covered in the video we spoke about a week ago. And therefore, it might be virtue signalling. Nevertheless, we're trying to get her attention by any means, regardless of whether or not people can cast a aspersion, shall we say, about the methodology that we're doing it. But in essence, if we are, we may not be, defending her honour in this particular regard, it might be worth letting her know. This person's been attacking you in regard to your comments on flat Earth and your departure from quasi-science, pseudoscience, to correctly name it. But this particular person has defended you in that regard. That would be me, us, Flat Earth Debate, Nathan Oakley 1980 being the channel. So maybe someone will post a link to Candace's video that he's responding to, and we'll put a link to that as well. And again, let Candace know that we are actually covering one of her respondents in this regard. I'm sure that is more than adequate amount of time for people who are in the live stream chat now. There's almost 70 people there now, getting up to that 100. Hopefully a few of you have actually gone and clicked on it and left him a comment, so we will get into the thick of it. Any other comments on Kyle before we do actually get into the video in earnest?
No, I got one on Candace. She actually calls it a pagan religion because she's skewed to the medical side of it, if it's the same video.
Any more for any more?
Give herself a little bit of an Alex Jonesy type vibe. And man, this one right here is extreme. Even
Oh my god. Straight off the cuff. She's giving herself a bit of an Alex Jonesy vibe. I don't know much about Candace Owens. Number one, I keep getting her name wrong. But number two, I've seen enough of her to say that she in absolutely no way gives off the vibe of some crazy crackpot conspiracy theorist. You know, I've seen her shut down some of the best interviewers from mainstream TV in terms of her rhetoric and knowledge and understanding. She's anything but a crazy, kooky conspiracy theorist. But you're saying just because she's mentioned these subjects, immediately she's tarred with that brush? Yeah, I wish Brian was here so he could back me up on this. Immediate character assassination. Oh, she's gone from being very well researched, very eloquent, and very capable of shutting down some of the best debaters and researchers and interviewers in the arena to she's got a bit of an Alex Jones vibe. Poison in the well.
He's a bit of a poison in the weller.
Yeah, it certainly is.
even for the likes of somebody like Alex Jones, I don't think I've ever heard him comment on this particular theory. She's going to flirt a little bit with flat Earth, and she's going to have a little something to say.
What does that mean? Flirt. Contextually, flirt is a sexual thing. Why is he using that word?
Say here about science. Listen to this.
Guys, imagine being married to me. I mean, my poor husband, he rolls over. He's like, what are you reading? And I feel like a regular wife says something, I don't know, maybe a love series, Nora Roberts, sweeping her away. Me, on the other hand, he rolled over, he asked me, and I said, oh, I'm reading a flat Earth theory. And
okay, well, there's a bad start. There are no flat Earth theories. It's a category error. It lends itself nicely to the misapprehension of throwing the baby out with the bathwater when you say science has lied to you. The same notion is instilled in the notion of flat Earth when people on our own side, that's flat Earth, use these words incorrectly also, like theory. A scientific theory? Oh, it's a Mystic Meg theory. So which one are we talking about? A category error or Nostradamus? Which one is it?
it dawned into an entire conversation.
Again?
Sorry, what would she call it if not theory? I know theory is scientific method proven, but like what would she call it in that situation? Like I'm reading a flat Earth
Book.
something.
Book.
Okay.
Article. Whatever it is, I don't care. Just don't call it theory unless it's a theory. And if you're going to say, well, it is, it's a Nostradamus theory, Mystic Meg theory. Okay. So you want it to sound kooky because you sniggered.
He's like, why are you reading a flat Earth theory? And I'm like, because somebody messaged me on Manect about it, and they included some links, and I'm just reading.
Messaged her on what? Did anybody catch that?
No, take a five.
And it dawned into an entire conversation. He's like, why are you reading a flat Earth theory? And I'm like, because somebody messaged me on Manect about it, and they included.
Manette. Am I hearing that correctly?
Somebody messaged me that I'm inept.
Manette.
She said I'm inept about it.
Manck. There you go. That's how we can get hold of her.
By the way, it's interesting because the first thing she says is someone sent me something and it included links, so I was just reading them. Imagine that someone actually just looking over some information.
Hey, Nathan. Hey, everyone.
Hello, Brian.
And
I
I'm
just
just
heard you
reading
there
it.
talking about the word. Sorry. Yeah, a bit quick. You said the word theory by Candace Owens. I don't. Doesn't that word is not exclusive to science.
Yeah, you can have a mystic Meg theory and a Nostradamus theory.
Yeah. So if she's saying theory, she is just coming from a colloquial point of view.
Why are you defending this?
Because I think that jumping too much on everything like that, because she hasn't claimed a scientific theory, so you can't really hold her to task on it.
Yeah, I can.
Even though, okay then.
What do you mean no, I can't hold it to task? Have you got a thing for
Well,
Candace
she hasn't
Owens?
claimed that,
Hold
which
on.
are critiquing her for.
Have you got a thing for Candace Owens?
I do.
I would say they're just enamored.
Hold on. Brian has just stopped me from critiquing her for using the word theory. So
yeah, a bit harsh.
Some bit harsh.
No, it's not. It's
exactly.
At this stage, it is, because that's exactly
no, it's
what
not.
Yeah, it is.
Just one at a time. You can give the contrast
Well,
in a minute, Eli. Let's just let Adam or Brian, one or the other, who's giving the pro. It's too harsh for you. Go ahead.
I think it's a point to introduce her to the nuance. It's not a point to introduce her to criticism, and in this sense. So I think she's perfectly forgiven at this stage for not knowing the difference. She strikes me as the sort of person that once having the difference explained to her, she won't use it out of context again. And that's the point. At this particular moment for her, she's not using it out of context. It's exactly what it is. It's this flat earth theory she's heard about. It's not a scientific theory. It's not anything. It's just a colloquial phrase for this topic that's come in and is titled flat earth theory.
Okay, I fundamentally disagree, but Eli's going to go first. Go ahead, Eli.
Well, see, I empathize with your feeling towards it. Now, I guess Nathan's point is that you're doing this because there's some sort of affinity towards her, because if it was just a casual conversation between any random person in here, you wouldn't be affording them that same leeway.
That's the difference, yeah. So they're not in here, at which point I would expect them to have that nuance. Yeah. That's the difference. It's a category error, the critique, because we're not critiquing her for using the term theory in a non-scientific way. She's using it in the colloquial sense, the description of a topic. So until she goes any further, I don't think she's made the error yet.
No, not yet.
Yeah, just so I can't be jumped on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I like Candace Owens, right? And I would think I would be faster to defend her than a lot of people, maybe. But either way, the point being is that if she hasn't claimed a scientific theory, then you can't hold her to task on that. You can point out to the audience that when she says theory, she's actually speaking colloquially and not from a point of science. You could point that out, but she doesn't. You can't critique her on something that she doesn't know any different on about, and she's just. What other way is she going to describe it? What she's after being.
I'm glad you've both said it, because it means that what I'm about to say is offered in a more balanced way. But based on the fact that I've already heard her throw the baby out with the bathwater when it comes to science, whenever she brings up anything that's even remotely linked to it, even if it was more vague than this, I'd want to be hyper specific, so she's on the right track immediately if she were to get this information put to her, or she were to listen to this broadcast. I'd want her to listen and go, why has he jumped all over me for one little word? Okay, it is a Nostradamus theory. I was reading about ether. What's the problem? You're like, okay, good job you've paid attention to that being jumped all over, because it is the very reason you've thrown the baby out with the bathwater, because words like theory get abused. Words like experiment and hypothesis also get abused. So whenever any one of them comes up, you or anybody else, I'm going to be all over it. Now, I get it. if you're pretty, you can live life on easy mode, and people want to defend you when you should be given the the benefit of the doubt in every single regard. But as much as
that's unfair.
Why is it unfair?
That's
Has
unfair.
nothing to do with her being pretty.
Nothing to do with her being pretty. Nothing to do with how she
Totally
looks.
disagree.
My critique wasn't based on that. My critique was based on that we've got somebody that's saying, I'm reading flat earth theory to their husband. So what's being described here? She's not, as Eli alluded to, in the flat earth debate panel. She's not like RV was yesterday.
Yeah, we're going over it again. Yep, fine. We've got both sides across. Good.
I don't know. I'm just an interested person, no matter what.
Oh, there's more.
Sorry, it's a little less relevant, but the way that you guys look at Candace Owens now, I'd like to admit that I looked at Kyle Kalinske the same way at one particular point. At this moment in time, like if I had to choose, like I would say, yeah, I like what Candace Owens is saying. So again, this is going to be interesting.
I was just thinking the same thing. Can we just clear that up?
conversation.
So, are you saying you looked at that guy in the same way as in you're homosexual? You looked at him as a pretty face and wanted to defend him.
That's what I was thinking. And you saying he's pretty?
No, I mean,
No. Let's just stop this. Stop. No, that isn't what the other guys were saying either. Quite the contrary. This is probably winding them up as Eli's got his time on the mic and they're now being portrayed as having actually given her favour for looks. None of us will do that. It's absurd. I'm kind of doing it just to get her eyes out of the panel. No one's got particularly triggered, so we will move on from this jape. I don't think she's living life on easy mode for being pretty. I'm just trying to trigger the panel.
Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Hey, Chocolate.
Who was that? Who said
What's up,
morning?
Chocolate?
Was that Chocolate? Hello, Chocolate.
I don't think we're at the point of having to attack or defend it yet. I've got just a little opener and I'm just getting a feel for it. And I've got somebody that's open-minded is all I've seen. Yeah, I'm sure there will be.
I thought we'd got to the end of this. Let's not do it a third time just because Eli dropped something out. And let's just move on.
What? If there's a bunch of people that believe something, I now want to know what it is that they believe. And of course, he pushed.
Why? Got affinity for belief structures, have you? Too harsh?
No, I think that's
Maybe a little.
How else did we get into flat Earth? There's all these other people talking about it. Oh, why are they talking about it? That's kind of how you learn new things. You can stumble across them on your own, or you hear other people talking about it, and you want to know more.
That's not my issue. My issue is with the
How's she
word
supposed
belief.
to find out about what it is that people are always believing if she doesn't look into it?
I think people are being too harsh on her because she's dead pretty.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
Oh, you're saying I'm going the other way. So hold on. He's had a jab, and I'm going to take that jab. So you're saying what? I look at her and think she's so beautiful, I must attack her.
Well, that's the feeling I'm getting.
By her beauty, her female beauty.
The feeling I'm getting.
In connection with her intelligence.
Yeah, the bottom line is that's what I got outraged initially in the pre-show about this Kyle's comment. Hold on. In the pre-show, I forget which, maybe at the beginning of the live show, his opener was to say she's a bit like a conspiracy theorist. Alex Jones was the comparison, and you're like, no. I've probably seen 2 or 3 videos of her, and I can tell how intelligent she is instantly, and how well researched she is instantly, and how well she's had to build her persona up so she can shut down interviewers who are being dicks with one hand movement. You're like, no, you don't get to that place unless you've got intelligence, integrity, good research skills. That's where you get to those. Not with a pretty face. It helps.
There's something to tell you as well, Nathan. Oh, hey, Tent. Sorry.
Yeah, Nathan, you are hard. You got to save the way you do things for the high priest of heliocentrism, not the people who are fooled by them, who are just talking. The word theory is not scientific to them. But when the high priest of heliocentrism come in, that's when we want that applied. When I'm talking to people and they use the word theory and they're now the high priest of heliocentrism, I said, what do you mean by that word? I don't jump all over their case because they don't know. You have to communicate and win them over with language that they feel like is, okay, I like talking to this person, But every time we get a video and it's not a high priest, you treat them as a high priest and attack them every time they use a simple word.
Okay, right, moving on, snowflakes.
Me on this.
No,
And he
Nathan,
was talking about the Earth curvature and science. And I said to him, listen, I'm not a flat earther. I'm not a round earther.
Let me quote that.
Go ahead.
Hey, I was trying to tell you, right, that Candace Owens does pre-recorded shows. So what she often does is in her live chat, I think her shows come out around 9 o'clock, around 8:30 or 9 o'clock UK. What she does is she is in her own live chat, right, because it's pre-recorded, kind of like what you would do. So you could go there and maybe interact with her tonight on her show tonight. She normally has one every night, every weeknight. And say to her, listen, we did this review of you being critiqued for your flat earth, looking into the flat earth topic. And would it be okay to post it here, or would you be interested in listening to it?
Well, I can invite my audience to do exactly that, right? So this guy's responding to her video.
No, you go.
Why?
Because it's your channel we're on. My God.
I realise
I mean,
that. I realise that.
Brian,
Okay.
Brian,
Hello,
he's a snowflake. Forget it.
Hello.
He's a snowflake.
Oh
He's
my
a snowflake.
God.
He's too
Hello,
scared.
trying to run a
You
show
must be
here.
threatened
Thank
by her
you.
beauty.
No, not going to get to run the show. Yeah, what I've suggested as we started this was that the call to action might not just apply to secular talk. It might also apply to her. So I'm looking for the link to the video that he's responding to, which seems pretty clear he hasn't actually posted. But there we go. That's annoying.
Yeah, but that's no good to you because she won't see any of that because that's an old video. She has thousands and thousands of comments. I'm giving you a way of actually possibly interacting with her directly.
Sorry, Brian, weren't you set the task of finding out her contact info? How did you get on with that?
I couldn't get her info. I couldn't get it.
Okay, so
John
in the middle of a
said he'd try and
live
get it
stream,
then, but
given
this
that
is
you know it's very
interacting
difficult.
with her in her own live chat.
Yeah, I
All
could
right.
do.
All right.
Thank you. While I'm running my own live stream, being told what I can do in my evening. Thank you so much. Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, I'd love to get in contact with her. Getting in touch with her in a bloody live stream is not my bag. Sorry.
Can't do it tonight. It's QE live anyway.
In any event, you're kind of missing the boat.
Hold on a second. This is something Mighty Mush could take care of. He was looking into it this morning. So Mighty
Yes,
Mush.
thank you. We
are
could deal with this
attention?
admin for the next 10 minutes. Thank you. It's not like I've been trying to shut it down for 5 or anything. Bloody hellfire. No, what I want to do is get one of the mods to dig out the video link that he's responding to, as in the specific video that he's got up that he's talking about, so that we can put that link to her video in our show and do the same. Direct the audience to let her know that we've responded with this video. Because her name's in this title. This is the video that he's responding to. We're responding to him. We're about to get onto this Kyle guy in a second. But ultimately, all we've just responded to is her and her video, not him and his video. We will in a second. Therefore, it makes perfect sense to put both of those links. I just need one of the mods, because I can't dig it out on the fly, to get that link so I can post it and do a call to action for her video, as it is actually the one that's being responded to by him in this instance. Anyway, we're going to get into his response.
She won't see it. That's my point.
We could discuss this for 10 minutes.
That video is days
Bloody
old.
hellfire. So she's not going to see it, but I should spend my evening doing it. Thank you, Brian. You're really helping.
I am. I'm trying to. You don't. Nathan, she's got the third biggest podcast in the world.
Yeah, I get you. So you're saying while
Only
she's got 1,000 people in her... Yeah, thank you,
I'm trying to
Brian.
give you
Yeah,
a way of
okay, in the
directly
middle of my
interacting
live
with her.
stream, you're telling me what I should do in my evening and spend it in Candace Owens live chat. No, thank you. You can if you like. If I can get her contact info, I'll contact her. But in the meantime, we are responding to a video she's made. It will have a link. I can send the audience if you guys will tolerate not telling me what I'll do in my evening. Oh, by the way, can you give up some of your evening to help me with my book, Brian?
By the way, Eddie Bravo's still out there. You want to get on that too?
I've got his bloody phone number. I don't know why I'm in a bad mood. It was such a good start to the show. I've got coffee. I'm very happy. Suddenly things are going wayward. Let's just chill. Everyone stop. I just want one of the mods to dig out Candace Owens' video link so I can post it in the live stream chat. Can someone dig that out for me, please? Not the video responding to, the video he's responding to. Anything else on what Candace Owens just said, as opposed to what I can do in my evening, etc., etc.
You might need a J then, because we didn't hear it.
I was gonna ask. You're feeling all right today?
I'm a what? I'm a what, Chocolate?
No, I said I was gonna ask you. Are you feeling all right today? Like, you seem like a little. I don't know. A little bit wound up a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't had any caffeine for about a week. And today I got my coffee machine repaired by the guys on the panel with you. OK Computer. It's fixed. So if I'm sounding a bit wired, it's because I've had consecutive multiple cups of coffee to get the grind right. And now I'm very, very hepped up on caffeine. But that's good.
Yeah, but where do you get off calling me a snowflake?
Yeah, Candace Owens.
Take the volume and hit play.
Links, and I'm just reading them. I don't know. I'm just an interested person. No matter what, if there's a bunch of people that believe something, I now want to know what it is that they believe. And of course, he pushed me on this, and he was talking about the Earth curvature and science. And I said to him, listen, I'm not a...
If we're taking a positive approach and you're having a conversation with her, this is the point where I'd say, could I stop you there? 10 years ago, you might have been asking us that question, what do we believe? We'd like to show you what we know.
Yes, that's a much better segue than me critiquing her use of the word theory. Yes, we just want you to understand what is known about Earth being flat, as opposed to what we can disseminate or others have disseminated in various websites and articles about their beliefs. We can tell you how Earth is measured flat, as opposed to give you our beliefs on the matter.
Flat earther. I'm not a round earther.
Let me quote that. I'm not a flat earther. I'm not a round earther. I'm not a flat earther. I'm not a round earther. Oh.
Yeah, we heard it the first 3 times. Thanks.
Oh, so you're agnostic on very, very basic scientific questions.
Does he know what agnostic means? Does he know what scientific questions are?
No.
No, he's ignorant.
Oh, by the way, should mention that he's also an atheist.
Oh, so he's a religious fundamentalist, then?
Yes. Yes, Adam.
But she's defined whether or not she's a flat earther or a globe earther, and he's used the word agnostic, a person who believes nothing is known or can be known about the existence or nature of God. How does describing yourself by stereotype, her own stereotype, as being either flat or round, what's that got to do with God?
She just said she got a response from a listener, and she's looking into it and reading and researching. She doesn't know what she doesn't know until she knows it. And my gosh, this guy's nuts.
What about the other words he used? Scientific questions. What are they? There's only one
He's in a
scientific
category
question.
error.
Yeah, it's a category error. There's only one scientific question. What caused that? That's it. What caused that?
Exactly.
That's the only scientific question. You see something happening and go, what caused that? That's it. But he thinks this is a scientific question. Flat, an aspect. Round, a shape. Those aren't scientific questions. What a clown.
No, he's a clown because she's looking into it for the first time. She's doing research as best as she can. And he uses that premise to say she's an agnostic. Imagine going to him when he doesn't know something about any subject and say, okay, I want to answer right now. Well, I don't know how a carburetor works. Oh, so you must be an agnostic carburetor guy.
Yeah, it's a pseudo-intellectual comment. Where in actual fact, she's just saying, I'm open-minded as I'm approaching this topic. That's what... It's not a point of critique for somebody to say, I'm not this, I'm looking into it. I don't...
Hold on. Norway guy, can you go on mute? Norway. 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 Sorry, Adam.
No, Norway, can he go on mute? Like,
Not Norway. Not as in a Geordie, there's no way, as in he was called Norway.
I know.
Anyway, Pet, get on with it.
Yeah.
Was that it? Oh, okay.
No, well, no, my only critique here is him trying to score points. I don't think that's something to hold her to task to. That's somebody describing they're open-minded.
Yeah, it's what you prefer, superchargers or turbochargers. Oh, I'm agnostic. What? Just a non sequitur stupid answer, and then he's put the entire false dichotomy that she's offered into a category error of scientific questions.
The real problem is that she's not around her. That's the real problem we have.
Yeah.
It's like, why is she not in the fold anymore? Quick, bring her back. That's what that is.
But as much as I might be accused of being too harsh on her, this whole round versus flat thing is just silly. You know, round and flat can be mutually inclusive. It's globular or sphere-shaped or ball earth as opposed to round. Round and flat can be inclusive terms
that are easily checkable.
What's the word for that, Adam? There's a word QE uses. I said mutually inclusive.
They're not mutually exclusive.
Synonymous.
Synonymous? It's just synonymous, isn't it?
It can be. No, it's not.
They're not synonyms.
But round.
There's a different word. I'll have to ask QE next time I hear him. But it's not. They're not. Flat and round are not synonyms. But you know, they are mutually. They can be mutually inclusive. But there's a better term that QE uses. If you're not even can remember.
Mutually exclusive. Not mutually exclusive. That's
he says. He says it the other way around. He says they are not mutually exclusive. Yes, that's a much better way of putting it. Yeah, flat and round are not mutually exclusive. Yeah, I like that. That's much better.
And verifiable. How is this viewed as a serious perspective? God, the internet has ruined people's brains. I'm sorry.
Sorry, how is this viewed as a serious perspective? Interesting terminology, unbeknownst to yourself.
Yes.
Nevertheless, we won't get into that. Why would you, as a baseless assertion, insinuate that A, the internet has something to do with it? That's just a means of distribution of information, right or wrong. And why would you assume that this category would ruin people's brains? Again, poisoning the well.
Yeah.
And projection.
Because
projection.
Only smart, because the only smart option is a globe. That's why, in his head.
But it's projection. I think whoever said that was right. He's rubbing his eyes because this is hurting his head. How can this person I like be looking at this nonsense? It hurts my brain. Oh, it's these stupid heads with their hurting brains.
Sorry, man.
Internet has ruined
I mean,
them, but
Twitter
it's really
in a
ruined
unique
him.
way has ruined people's brains. But the internet more broadly, like on the one hand, it's a blessing to have all the information available in the world at your fingertips.
And now he's going to contradict himself. Yeah, it's a distribution methodology of information. So it's very useful to have all the information. But her information that I don't like is nonsense that's poisoning people. Wow. Okay.
Fingertips any second of the day.
That's the whole thing that he doesn't like, that all the information's there. That's the challenge. He only wants little bits of the information to maintain his paradigm. The fact that all the information's there, that's what's useful about this data disseminating device, the internet. We've got access to all of the information, something we didn't have in the past.
I mean, it means there's also lots of wrong information, which you could also appeal to. Obviously, we'd need examples. We'd need to see. Maybe he'll offer some. We'll see.
Nathan, what he's doing is he's like that professor in the college class when the first year student comes in and he knows more than that first year student and is always looking at that first year student that's dumber than he is. And this is his nose up in the air and highbrow attitude.
But the funny thing is that he's critiquing her. Like, this video is made to critique her going over this information. Has he gone over this information himself, is the question.
We'll see. We don't know yet. We might find out what he does. We don't know yet.
On the other hand, guys, it's also fertile ground for charlatans and con men and frauds and people who are...
Hold up. He might have met a few people, eh?
Yes, that's true. Well, I don't want to generalize internally for no good reason, right? I know where you're going, but just don't. No, that's the world. The world has the means of people being charlatans. Yeah? As soon as they introduced the postal service, there was people who were using it for fraudulent means. As soon as you introduce telephones, there's people that use them for fraudulent means. You introduce the internet, people are going to use it for fraudulent means. Yes, there's charlatans in the world. The internet, this non sequitur that he's connecting these two things together is completely non sequitur.
But he's also setting himself up as the baseline backstop for what is a charlatan and what is not, by the way he said it.
Yeah, we already covered that. He's poisoning the well, yes.
Super charismatic, but just wrong. I mean, you can convince people of anything if you package it in a clever way. And
what is it with all these baseless assertions?
No, that was a good one. Like you live on a globe and it's spinning and gravity. Yeah, you could really fool people with a lot of baseless things.
Yeah, but it's a baseless generalization, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's him. He just replay that part and think what a glober is actually saying here.
People who are super charismatic, but just wrong. I mean, you can convince people of anything if you package it in a clever way. And a lot of people will just fall for it, hook, line, and sinker. That's what we're looking at.
Super charismatic, Neil deGrasse Tyson, package it in a clever way. Yeah, welcome to False Globe.
Neil deGrasse swimming in the...
Somebody's causing audio chaos.
Sorry, that was me. There was some hammering in the back. I said it sounds like Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about how somebody could win a debate just by personality and charisma, as opposed to having objective facts like he does. This guy sounds like he's going in that direction.
Well, no, it's about personalities. It's about people's charisma. Hold on. I'm surprised Brian hasn't piped up yet. It's always immediate personal attacks. It's about the people and their charismatic nature and how well they can con others. Well, we don't try and con anybody. We're trying to explain how Earth is measured. Elevation angles, baselines that are flat, navigation distances that match with flat planes, correction tables that give you flat Earth only as an option at the end of it. We're describing how Earth is measured flat, and you're describing how charismatic maybe I, as a flat earther, am. Does it matter would it matter if I sang it? Doesn't matter if I sing it.
Yeah, your facts don't matter, man. As long as you could say these absolutely verifiable facts in a nice posh voice and make it come off all swell, then you're a charlatan, according to this guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Brian.
It's just character assassination. He can't take on board seriously how he could be wrong. It's not about what other people are looking into or have learned or haven't learned or have been fooled or haven't been fooled. It's that he can't take on board even the possibility that he might be wrong. That's what's wrong with him.
We're not done yet.
And he was talking about the Earth curvature and science. And I said to him, listen, I'm not a flat earther. I'm not a round earther. Actually, what I am is I am somebody who has left the cult of science. I have left the mega church of science.
Yeah, this is the beginning part of the video that I watched that Brian recommended. We need that link, Brian, so I can post this link. Do you remember that video that you shared with me?
It's probably in. I can get it for you. It's not. I'll get it for you.
Did you share it with me personally?
I possibly did. Yeah, that's the first place I looked.
Yes, it is. Yeah, right. I'm glad I figured out which video it was now. It's because we didn't actually cover it on the live stream itself when we did cover it. Pass this out.
Freedom. It's a giant open universe where.
Okay, right.
All right, guys.
So I'm going to do another call to action. Bear with me, guys, in G+ and Discord. This is the video that this guy is actually responding to. Why I left this religion, Candace, episode 16. And I'm going to do the same call to action as I did previously, but for this video rather than the reactionary video that we were covering a second ago. We will go back to that video. But what I want the audience to do in this instance is a bit bizarre because we normally only recommend one videographer per video. But in this case, we're recommending the original video and the person who's reacting to it. But the video that's going by in the live stream chat now is the original video, which is Candace Owens' video, Why I Left This Religion, Candace, episode 16. So please let her know. Nathan Oakley sent me because he responded to Secular Talk. or something to that effect. So I literally encourage the 100+ people that are in the live stream chat right now to click on that link, go and let her know, at Nathan Oakley 1987. It doesn't matter if it's the same video that we covered a couple of weeks ago. And just let her know. Let her know that we've responded to, keep getting his name wrong, Secular Talk. By clicking on that link, at Nathan Oakley sent me, Secular Talk did a response and Nathan Oakley covered it, just to let you know. Or something like that. And hopefully, you know, points her in the direction of our critique of him. Okay? Hopefully people have done that, and that's given them a little bit of time to actually click on her video and go and speak to it, even though it's not necessarily the video we're covering today. Right, let's move on. We'll have a little bit more to listen to her.
Because what I have now realized is that science, what it is actually, if you think about it, is a pagan faith.
No. Science is a method. It's a methodology that establishes cause for phenomena you observe in nature. It has a method. The method is called, surprisingly, the scientific method. The scientific method is as follows. Step 1, observe natural phenomena, also known as the dependent variable. So, observe natural phenomena. Step 1, look at something happening in nature and ask, why did that happen? Step 2, formulate a hypothesis. That is to say, you've already got half of your hypothesis, because half of your hypothesis is the dependent variable, the naturally occurring phenomena that you are studying. The other half is your presumed cause of the phenomena you are trying to induce. That's called an independent variable. It is that which you can physically manipulate as a researcher and must be real to try and induce the effect that you're studying. Alongside the null, which is the zero difference result. So if you vary your independent variable, it will not induce the effect. So that's a hypothesis. If A, then B is your alternative hypothesis. If A, not B, is your null, zero difference result. An experiment, or hypothesis actualization, is exactly as the name suggests, an actualization of your hypothesis. So you will vary that which you presume will cause the thing you are studying to see if it causes the thing you are studying upon variation. So you vary and manipulate that which you think will cause the effect and see if it causes the effect or not. If it does not, you prove your null. If A, not B, tick, proven. If you cause the effect, you prove your alternative. If A, then B, tick, proven. In both instances, you prove something. Ergo, the method itself is empirical. It has an empirical outcome inbuilt into the method. You will either prove your alternative, that is to say, prove the cause of the effect, that's what you desire, or don't prove it, that's to say, you validate your null. That is science. It's not a cult, it's based in logic, it's empirical, and it has advanced humanity. Most of the technology we are currently communicating on only exists as a result of scientific endeavours, actualization of hypothesis, theory construction. That's science.
Maybe we should.
Go ahead.
Maybe we should direct her to exactly what it is that she really means, which is pseudoscience.
Yes. What she's saying is perfect. If she just substituted the word science for pseudoscience. What I've come to believe, what I've come to recognise, is that science is some pagan nonsense cult. Now, while I wouldn't necessarily buy that unless she backed it, yeah, the sentiment is right on. But she used the word science. She's throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Pseudoscience isn't correct either. It's recognizing that it's pseudoscience is part of identifying the cult that she's highlighting. She's not talking about a methodology here. She's talking about a way in which things are presented to the populace. Yeah, this title of science, yeah, she's using it as we critique it. Now, whether she knows the definition that's just given to you, yeah, she's not referring to that. She's referring to what we do. Just like here comes the science, and how all of this is a paganistic cult. I think it's a way of portraying a non-godly worldview that as a foundation. And that's the point she's making. Whether or not she recognizes the nuance of what pseudoscience is or not, she's picked the wrong word, but I think the point she's making is probably in a line with us.
Right. I think she's identified a appeal to consensus fallacy, and she's just wording it wrong.
Well, yeah. What's wrong is that she doesn't realize that actual science is the establishment of natural cause and natural effect relationships via scientific method, which is a method that is designed to exclude human fallibility. It's designed, once you follow it, you will only get an empirical outcome. That is not what she thinks science is. What she has in her head, the science is all the rubbish that they promote and label as science. The definition of pseudoscience is that anything that does not go through scientific method.
And
so
is claimed
all the stuff she's talking about.
Well, I think the specific. There's one more nuance. Hold on, Adam. There's one more nuance. You're right, Brian. That is correct. There's one little more nuance to that definition, which is to say it has to be claimed to be science. So if you say the science of Timotei hair shampoo, well, that would be pseudoscience because you're claiming that it's science when there hasn't been an application of the scientific method.
So that's my point. I think she's one much bigger step ahead of that in recognizing that some of the medical procedures that have been mandated over the past few years were portrayed as science. I think she's at that level to recognize that wasn't science. It was a misuse of it. I think she's that far ahead. I think she's a bit better than just Timotei. She recognizes the foul abuse of that word in society. That's something she's been talking about previously, discovering.
Sure. This is the distinguishment, isn't it? It's the foul use of that word rather than what she's describing as the foul sciences and the foul scientists. It's like, no, science and scientists, they're very different things. Men in white coats who talk about things or do group studies, they're not scientists. People who apply the scientific method, they're scientists. When they say they've applied the scientific method by labeling whatever group study they've done as the science of whatever it is they're punting, it's a recognition that unless it's been through the scientific method, it isn't science. Therefore, they're just hijacking the term as opposed to science has lied to us. It hasn't. People have used the term because it means empirically proven when they haven't got empirical proof. It is that simple.
Let me put it this. Let me throw it this. This will help. If Candace happens to hear this, Anthony Fauci, I could guarantee you, he knows what scientific method is, right? But he doesn't use it. So when he says something is science, knowing that that this thing has not been put through the scientific method, he is lying, and he knows it that it's not science. Now, there's other people out there who don't know it, and they're promoting things as science when they're not science, like astrophysics and other things like that. People who don't know what science is. But someone like Anthony Fauci definitely knows what science is. So if he says something is science, right, then you can directly ask him what his dependent variable was, which is what show us the hypothesis that went through a scientific method, and he won't be able to show it yet because he didn't, because he never did it. But he knows what it is because he has to, because of his position, because of what he is.
You say if she's listening, well, I've just put the link to this video. So if you do want to let Candice know that we are responding to one of her detractors and hopefully genning her up in terms of where science proves and where pseudoscience that has been incorrectly ascribed to some of the nonsense that we've been peddled over the last 100 years isn't science. That's what we're hoping for.
Nathan, yes. I got a video in the Master B for you. It's appropriate.
Okay, well, we're covering this video at the minute, so just hang fire.
No, it's for this moment. It's Michio Kaku. Come on, man.
You make observations, you have a theory, You go make more observations, and it's a very, very tedious process. Wrong. Nobody that I know of in my field uses the so-called scientific method. In our field, it's by the seat of your pants. It's leaps of logic. It's guesswork. It's guesswork. It's guesswork.
Exactly.
God. Oh my God. Science is just a method to determine the truth. It's a method to determine the truth. It's not a pagan faith.
Yeah, he's right.
Yeah, but
She
he
said
doesn't
I've
know the
left-
method.
He doesn't know the method, but you don't need to highlight that, Brian. He doesn't know what it actually is, but he's saying it correctly. At face value, he's absolutely correct.
The cult of science. Oh, have you, Candace? Well, I got news for you. It has not left you. Why do I say that? Look at this tweet. This is a brilliant tweet. Quote, "I've left the cult of science," she declared, on her live stream sent over high-speed internet while speaking into a sound amplification device.
Sorry. Oh, well, now you... No. Now you can say he's a moron that doesn't understand what the scientific method is.
Yep.
Because he thinks communication devices and amplification units are science. Go ahead, lads. You feel free.
Yeah, people don't know the difference between technology and science. It's a shame.
You want to go, Adam? Or where do I go?
I was happy just to laugh.
Yeah, because it just showed he's there. He's there trying to critique Candace. Sorry, that's your fault, Nathan. Candace. He's there trying to critique Candace Owens, right, on her science acumen, and he doesn't have any. Right? He seemed like he knew what he was talking about at first. Then he brings up amplification and communication devices and technology. Yes, the basis of a lot of these things in technology the technology we have today does come from actual proven hypotheses in disciplines like quantum mechanics. Yes, but that doesn't make your iPhone science. Your iPhone is just technology, not science. You can't put your iPhone through scientific method.
Right.
So this guy is an epic bonehead.
Yeah, he's a clown. Yeah. At face value, first sentence, yeah, it's just a method. It's not a cult. Yeah, absolutely correct. And she's tweeting about leaving the cult when she's using an iPhone. That's technology. That's not science. That's not the establishment of cause and effect. That's not a naturally occurring phenomenon. That's not hypothesis construction. That's not hypothesis actualization. That's not theory construction. That's not science. Clown shoes.
Staring at a laptop computer and drinking from a vessel designed to keep hot and...
Sorry, a vessel designed to keep hot. You think a thermos is science? Wow.
And cold liquids at their original temperature.
Original temperature? So what was the original temperature? Anyway, let's not get into the nitty-gritty. Thermos is not science, you clown.
No, but it's interesting he brings it up because what he's actually referring to there is the creation of the thermos is based around natural law. The very thing that debunks his heliocentric paradigm. How can you have temperature?
That was appalling, but I'm going to go with it just because I'm in a good mood. So what you're saying is, because there's a vacuum between the two layers in a thermos, therefore it's exploiting the second law of thermodynamics by way of heat transfer or the inability for heat transfer. Therefore, its basis, technologically speaking, is in the second law of thermodynamics, not science, natural law. And that natural law, man, I'm going to butcher this segue so badly, is also the same natural law that applies to their sky vacuum that would leave us with no gas to breathe because gas would fill the area of volume, aka vacuum, the same as in the thermos. Yeah, Brian? That was terrible.
Yeah, but the point... Is that Adam?
That's you.
But the point being is that within his paradigm, right, for that temperature to be created, right, how is that possible when there is no barrier between the surface of the Earth and this vacuum that he thinks exists? It would not be possible for temperature to be created within his paradigm. You require a container for gas pressure temperature, and vacuum. He's claiming all three within his paradigm, right? Within the paradigm he's promoting, he's claiming all three without any solid containment for either, for any of them.
Okay, so you're saying it's three-pronged. It's pressure, second law of thermodynamics. Heat, also second law of thermodynamics. And what was the other one?
Vacuum, which is also a second law, which is the second and third, yeah, vacuum.
Right.
Containment, fundamentally, for all of those things to be able to be applied, be it a thermal barrier or whatever, we're talking about gas behavior and the creation of vacuum and having gas next to a vacuum. And that to do that, you need containment of the two different pressures.
Two containers.
It's worse. It's worse than that. Don't miss the very fact that he said heat. What degrees is the heat applied and water boiling? Does that have to go through the scientific method? And then he misses the whole thing.
Guys, we all know a closed thermos is an open system.
That's right.
I don't use science, bro. I don't even believe it.
Yeah, what you're doing, buffoon, is making you look like a clown and monkey. Yeah, this monkey act while you talk about technology and hint that she's dumb for not knowing what science is. You've just exposed you as a complete clown.
Science and stuff, bro. I believe in shitty theories posited on Reddit forums from 2017 by a
Sorry, what? This is another poisoning the well, stereotyping, and ad hom fallacy.
Fat dude in his underwear in his mom's basement. Bro.
And projection.
Can we?
Because that is what he'll use to support his ball earth, the stuff produced by dudes in their mum's basement in their underwear. That we know that that's where the anti-fat earth rhetoric comes from. So
he'll fit right in.
Can we stop with this? Can we stop with this?
Yeah, that's the real meaning behind this, isn't it? Share your pain. Oh, make it stop! Make it stop!
Look, I
Dear
will
Father
acknowledge.
in heaven, let us please gather, share our knowledge of a non-moon landing, but let us not discuss the nature of the surface. Let it not be an argument with us. Yeah, pain all the time.
Pain.
Yesterday, today.
That's just pain. They want to project that pain out by calling people dumb and pretending that they're monkeys. No, this is your pain. Yeah, we figured that out 3 years ago.
Knowledge. Flirting with conspiracy theories is fun.
Why does he keep using this word flirting? While I joked, right, about the panel having holding a candle for Candace Owens, I don't actually think that's the case. But when people use these words like flirting, that to me is a tell, right? This guy feels offended by somebody that he's sexually attracted to flirting with an idea that he disapproves of. You know, that's a telling use of the word flirting. Second time he's used it.
Fun as fuck. And in fact...
And blasphemy and swearing. Don't need to...
Well, don't forget. Don't forget he used monkey. Well, that's evolution.
Well, the thing is that what we know from people like him is that when any female comes into this arena and she is anyway naive, especially if she's attractive, all the anti-flat earthers, they can't wait to try and correct her. And, you know, because she's flirting with the idea that it's not a globe. They can't wait to do it. They swarm her. That's what they do, right? Because she's flirting with the idea. Because they all have a little thing for her, whoever she might be, but they want to correct her. Because it's like they like her, but she's making them not like her because she's not going along with their paradigm. She's not in the fold like they need her to be.
I'll go as far as to say there are some things that were viewed as quote-unquote conspiracy theories, which turned out to be true. It turned out to be real. You know, Operation Northwoods.
Complete non sequitur. Move on.
The Bay of Pigs. There's a lot of things that...
Not conspiracy.
Yeah, it's not a conspiracy. It's how Earth's measured.
Yeah.
Complete non sequitur.
I left a comment about this in Candace Owens' chat in our comments underneath the video. is that if you measure your hallway to be 16 foot long, is that a conspiracy? It's not. It's a measurement. Measurements aren't conspiracies. So
You know,
if we
we
have
didn't get the
measurements
truth
of the
in the
Earth,
moment.
then sorry, I'm just saying if we have measurements of the Earth, then how can it be a conspiracy?
It isn't. The trick was making people believe it was a conspiracy so that they can believe that the standard rhetoric fare of a globe is the normality. Therefore, anything anti that must be deemed conspiracy. Because we know we're on a sphere. We've been taught it from birth, and we're all of this rhetoric. Make it stop, make it stop. You're a conspiracy theorist.
And then later on, in retrospect, you come to realize, oh, we were lied to. This thing that people said wasn't true actually is true. But there are also plenty examples of the opposite.
Yeah, don't make it so. Don't let it be a flat earth. I can't. Just there's plenty that weren't true. Let it be one of them. Share your pain.
There's also plenty examples of the conspiracy theorists just being fucking idiots and losers.
Yeah, this is all about the individuals. It doesn't matter what I am. It really doesn't make any difference to how Earth is measured. Come on, Brian.
Exactly. Yeah, it makes no difference whether you're a good or bad guy. Airplanes still fly as they fly, which is as a horizontal, parallel with mean sea level, which is also a horizontal.
I cannot get any pain-numbing confirmation bias from analysing the fact that the Earth's measured flat. In fact, it'll cause more. If I just look at you and call you stupid, I can carry on not dealing with facts. And that's all he's doing, isn't it? It's just attacks.
It's about the person. It's about Candace being a bit like Alex Jones. It's about these crazy crackpots on Reddit, sweaty guys in their basement. No. It's about how Earth is measured, how it's mapped, navigated, built upon. Those are the measurements of Earth. They're all flat. And further to that, the globe religion is based on those measurements. It's an extrapolation of those measurements. In order to have a globe, you must measure Earth flat. Now, you don't know that. Very few people do. But it is the fact of the matter.
And weirdos and wrong.
This guy, sorry,
that's
Nathan,
also a
second.
thing.
Go on, sorry.
Sorry, quickly. This guy is in danger of becoming the heckler in the audience, heckling the well-known comedian on the stage with the microphone. Candace has the third biggest podcast in the world. Who's got the bigger voice? If he thinks, like, how can he attack, like, how can you attack someone that's that big when you don't even have anything that actually disproves them? Do you know what I mean? The heckler in the audience shouting at the comedian. What's going to happen? Go on, Adam.
He thinks he does, doesn't he? He thinks that she doesn't understand what science is. He's just presented his critique of her understanding of science, something we've cross-critiqued. Yeah? But he genuinely thinks that she's wrong.
Yeah.
Now, it is substanceless, admittedly, and showing him to have a very, very poor understanding of the term science. But even though he started out quite well, yeah, that's what I'm critiquing here. I don't think it's...
Well, no, I can't even say he started off quite well. I mean, come on, bro. He's been poisoning the well from the beginning, but on top of that, he's a bigot because she literally didn't say anything other than I was just reading something.
I only say
and we got this whole critique from him out of just her saying that.
Yeah, I only said that because he started off by saying science is a method. That was and he went downhill from there.
Well, what actually happened basically through all of this is Candace Owens has triggered this guy. He has come on triggered onto his own show, his own video, and he spent basically most of the video character assassinating people that she might be willing to interact with, trying to character assassinate her, the stereotyping fallacy, basically through the whole lot of it, and then not what I notice is like all of these people not being able to add any substance as to why Candace Owens might be wrong, with the exception of appealing incorrectly to technology as science, showing that he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Thing, you know, why are we pretending in this new internet age that what? Anytime anybody says something that bucks the establishment narrative, it is by definition correct? No.
So who was saying that exactly?
That's straw man.
Straw man fallacy? Yeah, sorry, you were the way ahead of me.
She never said anything like that. She never, at one time, never has Candace Owens came out and tried to say, every time anyone says that that doesn't go along with the norm is correct. She never said that.
That's its own version of brainworms. That's its own version of dogmatism. It is a counterculture that has become just its own mainstream culture, right? Like, and this is where this comes from with Candace Owens. It's this idea.
Right. Upward inflection is him seeking confirmation. He's appealing to his audience to confirm this for him, isn't he?
Did he
reach out?
Did he say establishment narrative should not be challenged?
Right.
Yes, that's basically what he said, Kent. Yeah, don't be challenging the establishment. That's basically what he wants to have happen.
Yeah, don't meddle with the status quo.
The establishment is lying to you. Therefore, now let's go reevaluate like whether or not fucking gravity is real. Like that's where this goes.
Let's do that.
Yeah, let's do that right now.
You will lose, buddy. Do you know what?
This guy's really triggered.
Let's not talk over each other, just one at a time. 10th, then Adam. Go ahead.
No, just the way he inflected, used the curse word, he is really triggered. What she didn't do anything but say, look, I'm just doing a little research here, and he is over the top triggered by someone even looking into his subject.
Brian. Adam, rather.
I go after Adam.
All I was saying, interesting, the topic he picked. All our ears pricked up and laughed. Yeah. Okay, let's go straight there. That's his solid. We've got to question gravity now. Yes, mate. First of all, what is gravity, son? Your claim, not mine.
Well, we will go through it, but Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to agree with Adam there. Exactly, Adam, and Kent. But what I would point out is that it's only been very, very, very recent times, and Candace Owens points this out, according to her, to her husband, where the whole world has been led to believe something that wasn't true. And he's attacking her as if she's just some random conspiracy theorist. Whereas she's just pointing out that the establishment he's referring to, have proven outright within the past 4 years to be willing to tell you anything to get you to go along with a narrative. And be willing to employ any tactics they need to do, heavy-handed or whatever, to make sure that you do go along with that narrative.
But, moreover, lie about science.
It's not as if my point is, it's not coming out of her quest for information on these other topics is not coming out of the blue. You know what I mean? It's not some random thing she just decided to do. I think I'll be a conspiracy theorist. She didn't decide to just do something like that. She's been given good reason not to trust the establishment that he's telling her she should trust.
Right, but we are going to take apart gravity. Does anybody have it? I thought one of the three of you would actually do that because we all laughed our heads off.
Well, which of the 5 gravities
Perfect start.
is he referring to?
Let's just do that the other way around. Which of the 5, Brian?
Well, I don't know which of the 5 gravities he's referring to. It could either be incorrectly termed Newtonian force of attraction between claimed masses. It could be Einsteinian general relativity. It could be quantum gravity, which is on the way to remove general relativity. It could be electric gravity made up by flat earthers. And or it could be specific gravity. The only of the 5 that actually can be proven through scientific method, and its correct name is actually relative density.
Perfect.
So I don't know which of the 5 he's referring to.
Well, let's just assume that he's only reached high school level education in the sciences, and therefore he is under the misapprehension that gravity is a force of mass that attracts another mass, which would be a 109-year out-of-date high school level pseudoscience from Newton, which is to say it was superseded by Einsteinian bent pseudo-Riemannian force space-time 109 years ago. Now, mass doesn't attract mass, first of all. If it did, gas wouldn't be expanding in all directions. It has mass and is not attracted to the giant mass of Earth. In fact, it comes out of the ground and expands away from it. It's under containment, as opposed to having a sky vacuum that it's not expanding into in violation of a natural law we discussed earlier with thermoses, with your baseless nonsense about thermoses being science. Anyway, moving back on. Let's get this train wreck back on the rails. Hold on.
Yeah.
So 109 year out of date rhetoric of mass attracting mass debunked by second law of thermodynamics. That's gas behavior. Gas isn't attracting other gases. It's fundamentally unbonded and has elastic collisions, defying Newtonian mass attracting mass. Furthermore, the conceptual geometry of a fourth dimension that bends, invented on paper by Einstein, is not a phenomena we can observe in the reality that we actually experience. Definitely not science. It also, quote Brian Cox, is not a force, end quote.
Well, mass is technically just a description. And it's technically there's pre-Einstein and post-Einstein definitions for mass. And then there's the definition for mass in chemistry that Adam would be aware of, being a pharmacist. So pre-Einstein is mass is giving weight via force of gravity. Post-Einstein is mass is a quantitative measure of inertia. So what's mass? Technically, what is it? What is mass? Can you show me this mass that you're claiming?
No,
it's just a description.
Let's just keep it flowing. What they'll actually do, if you got somebody who is reasonably bright, would give you one of two definitions. They'd either give you the definition of mole, or they give you the definition of inertia.
Yeah, and exactly. Mole is calculation, and inertia is a description of something that has weight. So there's no point in telling me about the mass being given weight. You know what I mean? It's you have to start with something already having weight. Within that. Because that's the point. Post-Einstein mass already just has weight. It has nothing to do with gravity. Pre-Einstein mass is given weight via force of gravity.
Meanwhile, while the definition of mass, while it might not be forthcoming and will be an equivocation fallacy, there is no naturally occurring phenomena, and the description invented by Einstein of a fourth dimension simply doesn't exist in physical reality. There is no phenomena occurring, there is no gravity. Relative density disequilibrium descriptions can be ascribed to a further definition of gravity, which would be specific gravity. But that is, as described, merely an elaboration on the effects of buoyancy, which we've had since Archimedes. Furthermore, quantum gravity, total pseudoscience, ascribed by hijacking the valour of the actual science of quantum mechanics. Last but by no means least, the electrostatic incoherent dielectric accelerative forces invented by flat earthers to juxtapose the nonsense of a non-phenomena based gravity that globers have and isn't required when gas doesn't attract to the centre of mass. We don't have a direction-based world, we have a density-based world, with a medium that might be specific to whatever you are relative to that medium. That's described by Archimedes quite satisfactorily with buoyancy. Moving on.
That's specific gravity as well, Nathan.
What was one I missed?
No, that's what you just said there that is also specific gravity is.
Yeah, I said that.
Yeah. So we're just actually... Specific gravity is a scale based on the density of just pure water. So you're measuring the densities of other mediums as a scalar function of pure water. So it's just a way, again, all based on the weight and volume of water, and then the weight and volume of the others. But instead of just expressing it as weight and volume density, it's a description of how buoyant something is with respect to water.
Meanwhile, both the gravities that are heliocentric in nature are debunked. There is no naturally occurring phenomena for Einsteinian bent space-time, and Einsteinian space-time superseded mass attracting mass, which is debunked by gas behaviour. Let's move on.
One last thing.
I'm on gravity specifically, right?
Yeah, one last thing is that buoyancy is the very thing that they needed to hijack to begin with. Well, because buoyancy was the thing that completely debunked their claims. Not Newton, people after him, CV boys and different people like that, debunked the claim that there is a downward attracting force. Because buoyancy shows that there is two vectors. There is a down and an up. So it depends on the density of the medium that the object or substance resides in, and the differential of those densities between the object and the medium, or the substance and the medium, whether that substance or object will go up or go down. So in air, most things go down because most things are more dense than air. But there's things that go down in air that will go up in water. And change the medium to something else. Honey, mercury, an anvil, a blacksmith's anvil will go down in air really fast and hard. But in mercury, it'll go up. There's no down for the anvil in mercury because it's a density differential. That's what buoyancy is. And that's the very thing they had to hijack to even start inserting gravity into people's minds, because people will see things like helium balloons going up and steam going up and stuff and go, all right, gravity, when it's not what they were claiming at all. They needed to take they needed to take Archimedes' principle and insert it into what they were calling Newtonian physics, when Newton didn't reference Archimedes at all. Never. None of them referenced each other. There's 1900 years of a span between them. So the whole thing is a fraud. There's only buoyancy. That's it.
Right. It's been invented it's a band-aid to overcome the notion of being antipodal on a spherical surface in a sky vacuum where gas isn't dispersing. It's just band-aid after band-aid. That's all it is.
Reminds me of the people who they take a healthy skepticism of big pharma.
So we're on to big pharma and people's opinions. Yeah? What people think of big pharma. Okay?
Not science, then.
Yeah, exactly.
And they turn it into, like, I'm just anti-modern medicine. Right?
Okay. Well, we're not. What do you do for a living, Adam? I don't normally lean on this, but as he specifically made a mockery of us as conspiracy theorists by stereotype as being against modern medicine. What do you do, Adam, again?
I pimp for big pharma.
You're a what? What are you?
Pharmacist.
You're a pharmacist? All right. So this stereotype fails miserably then.
Yeah, specifically here. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, a fail. Total fail, my friend. Yeah? There's a guy on the panel that knows infinitely more than everybody watching about this subject and works in the industry, but you're going to tar us with this brush of being anti-medicine? No. When it comes to people claiming science about specific medicines, and there isn't any, we'll highlight that fact with total immunity to any censorship, because they are demonstrable facts when we point out that there is no scientific validity if there has been no adherence to the scientific method. It is that simple.
Right? No, you can be skeptical of big pharma, namely...
Oh, can I? Oh, thank you for your permission. Oh, that's so kind. Why? Because you're so educated in this subject, are you? What a joke.
Well, Nathan, I wonder if this guy would have taken the same tone concerning big pharma 3 years ago, or would he have attacked Candace Owens for looking into big pharma 3 years ago and not trusting them 3 years ago, or would he have told Candace Owens just trust the science? That stupid term 3 years ago.
Can I just have a bit of a chuckle about something? Because a slight aside note, but it just it was amusing to me. Do any of you watch the Scammer Payback and Hoax Hotel and people like that are basically catching out Indian scammers? Has anybody ever seen one of those? Just say yes.
Hell yeah. Yes.
Right. One of those recently in the last couple of days I watched on a shorts video. Just somebody doing an amusing little bit from one of their presumably 3-hour stints of trying to catch a scammer out. And the scammer's trying to get this person to do something, and they're playing dumb. So he's like, this is the Indian scammer going, are you stupid? Don't you understand? Are you vaccinated? And as soon as he said it, I'm like, oh, so to you, this is a smear against Westerners and how dumb they are. I was like, how amusing that you would just include this into your, are you stupid, dumb Englishman / American / insert Western world culture here. I'm like, this is just your slur against us now. That's what it's become. I'm like, oh, how the tables have turned. How interesting.
I also want to note that I'd say about 8 years ago he was against Big Pharma. So I don't know who this man is now.
Who knows?
The issue with regards to that, guys, is it's kind of a layman's. If you're going to have, why are you against Big Pharma? What would your critique be? I would suggest that those in my profession are probably some of the biggest anti-Big Pharma. Yeah, because they see what's going off, they see how things are run now. Yeah, it requires knowledge if you're going to do this, and this is doesn't exclusively mean you have to be a pharmacist, but you do have to have the knowledge to critique why. That's just another bandwagon he's jumping on there, and I bet he couldn't critique it or even cite why it should be supported.
Right, most people can't when they're like pro or anti anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be pharmaceutical in nature. Most people who are pro something, if you actually drill them and grill them down on what their affinity is based on, they don't know. So like you say, if you were to criticise this guy and say, well, why would you support it or decry it? He probably wouldn't be able to defend either position. Now, in this instance, it's a stereotyping fallacy. When people just say, I'm anti-Big Pharma, you're like, what you're saying, if you put it in those terms, is so baseless and so generalised as to be meaningless. It's like, well, what are you anti-plaster of Paris and bandages? What are you talking about? You know, the idea that you can just generalise all of this stuff into one big batch. It's like, no, you look at treatments and you study them, and this is common sense for me. There's nothing to do with people's general perception of these big industries now, for whatever reason. You know, for however long it's been the case, generally speaking, I've been keen to research most things. And you just look into them, where most people don't. They're headline readers at best. Sometimes not even that. They'll parrot the rhetoric they've
How
heard
about kids
secondhand from
eating
someone
lead
else.
paint?
Go ahead, Neil. Say again.
How about kids eating lead paint? When have you ever seen a kid eating paint chips? The answer is never.
Okay. I'll carry on.
They sold that story to get rid of the lead in the paints, and now the houses no longer are insulated. And notice how many more people are getting cancer.
Okay, that's general. Okay, I'm just going to move straight past that, Neil.
Profit motive in all of our...
Before you do, the point is kind of making there is if you're not with Big Pharma, or if you've got some opposition to Big Pharma, suddenly you wouldn't even have antibiotics if you got a bad infection. That's the level of his stereotype. As soon as you accept that there's something wrong, you're a conspiracist and you reject all of it. That's what he's implying here, that our minds are so shallow that as soon as somebody goes Big Pharma, you go, oh yeah, I disagree with certain aspects of it, then you reject all medicine out of hand.
Yeah, it's an all or nothing fallacy. Just identified the fallacy, you're right. It's an all or nothing fallacy, isn't it, Adam?
Better summary than mine, yeah.
Go ahead, Eli. Hold on, Brian. Just one sec. Go ahead, Eli. Then Brian.
All of this from, again, Candace Owens saying, hey, I'm not a flat earther. I'm not a round earther. I was just reading some stuff. And I'm not just going to be a part of this culture that appeals to the authority. Now, see, I've read into her words a little bit the way that he's read into her words. But if you do watch her content, what I'm saying is a lot more accurate. It's just crazy that he'd go on this entire rant. And the only reason he can go on this entire rant is because he's a bigot. He's been indoctrinated. And so he doesn't even have to talk to Candace Owens. He's talking to an ideology or like what?
Yeah, it's generalizing and stereotyping is what you're driving at here. And he's throwing it out to his audience to share his own pain. I hope that was a good summary of what you were driving at. I'm going to move on. No, sorry, Brian's got last last.
Yeah, I
before we
just
move on.
wanted just for balance. I think that people have a very good reason in the year of 2024 to not trust general medicine and big pharma because they were given a massive reason in recent years. So I would say, yeah, you can't throw everything out, but unfortunately, people like Adam are not trusted by the public because what happened is because Adam is going to be stereotyped because what happened is during the COVID era, there was so much of every pharmacy, every doctors, every hospital, every medical unit everywhere had to adhere to the same narrative, whether they wanted to or not. And they had to do it or else lose their licenses, etc. And a lot of them didn't know whether it was the right or wrong thing to do. Some of them knew it was right, or some of them knew it was wrong, but they couldn't do anything about it.
Right, sorry,
And what
Brian, I'm going to have to
happens is
stop
the
you.
public in general
Stop.
just don't
Right, Brian.
trust.
Yeah, Brian, you may not be aware of this, but what you're saying is skirting dangerously close to a line I don't want skirting. You don't know why, and I don't want to explain.
Okay.
Up until that point, we were doing really well. Yeah. Ultimately speaking, when it comes to subjects of this nature, we have been saying the same thing for, 7 years? It related to this immediately when it happened, and I'm being vague intentionally. But we told people back then to assess these things generally when claimed to be science with the exact same standard that we have claimed to and have exercised with the ballers when they claim science for the ball. If you're claiming science, it means it's gone through the scientific method. If it hasn't, it isn't. Now, there are plenty of different subjects. I like to make it nice and general with things like Timotei and Dunlop tyres. We've done the science, they've got the best grip. No, you haven't. You've tested them. You've done maths. But because you've done a test, that means it's a scientific test, an actualization of a hypothesis. That's a test in science, also known as an experiment. But if you can call your experiments you've done on your tyres, that's tests, science, then people think you've proven their grip capabilities. If you can say, here comes the science part, when you're talking about how shiny your hair will be with shampoo, people believe that you've empirically validated the shininess that will be achieved if you buy it. It's a scam, because they're not putting their claims through the scientific method. And that can be applied unilaterally to anybody that's claiming science. Now, I said earlier, 99% of it won't have been through the scientific method. Well, QE's actually done the research to give a more accurate rendition of how many have been through the scientific method when you start typing in claim to be scientific papers. And it's more like 0.1% have actually been through the scientific method. If you go through peer review papers that are claimed to be science and just type in the words independent or dependent variable on a quick search, and you don't find them, you know instantly there's not going to be a hypothesis construction or actualization. That's experiment. That's most of what's claimed to be science. Very, very, very little of it has actually been through the scientific method. But it's rife. Like this guy calling his iPhone and thermos science. Anyway, I'm going to move on.
All of our medicine and all of our drugs, that's a huge problem. The structure of the system is a huge problem. But that doesn't mean that antibiotics...
Oh God, can someone just server mute that Norway guy?
Antibiotics are a conspiracy, right? That doesn't mean that painkillers don't actually kill pain. That doesn't mean...
We covered this already, all or nothing fallacy.
That vaccines are a giant scam and they're actually poisoning you and you're going to die in 17 years if you take this vaccine or what. Are you fucking kidding me? And that's what's happened. People...
Is it? Sorry, give us 5 examples. I mean, we're undermining you and your rhetoric here. So obviously you can't take us as an example, especially when we've got a bleeding pharmacist on the panel. So no. Is this going to be backed? I mean, I can almost guarantee it won't, based on past experience, only knowing the guy for the last 5 minutes of videography, that this will not be backed with anything. But let's just see.
People have become so distrustful of institutions.
We're on to the next baseless assertion and stereotyping fallacy. So, no, I was right to call it. Definitely not going to be backed by anything.
And of the establishment that now their default perspective is whatever they say, the opposite is true.
As exampled by what? No, I wouldn't be so ludicrous as to take a claim that somebody's made and take a default position that the opposite is true. That's utterly absurd. No, number one, if I take somebody's claim to town, rip it to shreds, and then take a giant steaming dump on it, it doesn't mean I have to replace it with anything, let alone the antithesis or opposite of it. I don't have to do anything. I just take their claim to the cleaners and then move away afterwards. I don't have to do anything to replace it. But you're suggesting that by generalization and stereotyping fallacy, that the people you're besmirching would automatically take the opposite point of view of a rhetorical position taken by the mainstream narrative. What an utterly absurd position to have. I mean, do you even believe this yourself?
And that is dogmatism.
Yes.
Nathan, please play the last 10 seconds again. Don't miss what he said.
And of the establishment that now their default perspective.
Go back 5 seconds before that first part because it was right there.
Vaccines are a giant scam and they're actually poisoning you and you're going to die in 17 years if you take this vaccine or what. Are you fucking kidding me? And that's what's happened. People have become so distrustful of institutions and
the snap. Play one more.
Of the establishment that's now.
Okay. Do you see this puppet? I have to trust the establishment and all the institutions. I am not allowed to do research. I am not allowed to go challenge anyone. Be a good citizen the way you were raised in your public schools. Do not buck the system. This is a puppet.
Well, no, what he's done is it's reification and anthropomorphization. So what he's done is he's taken the establishment, the big pharma, whatever group, and made it into a person that's infallible, that must be trusted. It's like, when you say the establishment, what are you actually talking about? What, a group of dudes and gals? Okay, well, they're just people. What you're saying is that they're like the hive mind collectively and suddenly infallible. No, not at all. But collectively, he feels that the institutions have to be trusted? No. Individual claims should be taken at their merit and research based on their value after researching them. That's it. But you don't do that as a general sweeping statement to everything every group says. You just take an individual claim at face value and assess it and research it. If somebody says they've got the science for time travel, I'm not going to just nod. I'm going to go, okay, what was the observed phenomena? What was the independent variable? What was the null hypothesis? Has this gone through the systematic experimentation stage? If so, what was the theory that was based upon the validation of cause and effect after observing phenomena and presuming cause? If that is the case, what was the outcome and how did that lead to time travel? That would be what I asked, not the establishment said it's the science of time travel. How dare you challenge them? And furthermore, what are you saying, that we don't have mixers, thermoses and iPhones because you reject the DeLorean? No, I just reject the DeLorean that they're saying is proven with science by asking a few key questions about how much science it's got. Seems reasonable if they're saying it's science to ask them for the science.
Oh, their default perspective is
generalization and stereotyping fallacy to follow.
Whatever they say, the opposite is true.
No, we just debunked that on the spot before it even crossed your lips.
And that is dogmatism. That is religious fundamentalist-like thinking. No, you have to evaluate the merits of a given conversation on the evidence in that field, on that topic.
Yeah, okay. I'd go with that. Yeah, evaluate it based on the evidence. Yeah, okay.
He just contradicted his whole previous statement.
Yes, completely.
Everything you need to evaluate on its own merits, on its own evidence, one by one.
Yeah. So what you're saying is, evaluate everything on its merits, one by one, claim by claim, just like I said. But these clowns on Reddit, they throw everything out. And you can't do... What a... Okay, so you built up your little straw man. You've now burnt it and given a reasonably coherent rendition of what I just said. Fine. So completely contradicting your last complete garbage then.
But no, so so edgy, such an outsider, so anti-establishment.
More personal attacks on individuals.
Hang on. Candace Owens is doing exactly what he just said everyone should do. One by one, look at the merits. That's what she's doing. And now he's knocking her again after he said that's what
How do you know
do.
that? How do you know she's looking at the merits? She's having a little glance at it 'cause someone sent her a few hyperlinks while she was in bed with her husband.
No. Don't you think you can get away with that? That's so weak from you. Well, why is she if she's got the third largest podcast in the world, according to Brian, which might be true, I don't know, but let's say it is. She's just not going to get out there and say this stuff if she's not planning to look into it.
How the hell do you know? Okay, same standard. Let's just move on. I don't need to repeat myself, but yeah, that's the same standard. Go ahead, Brian.
Well, what the hell?
Well, go on, Eli. Eli was before me.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was just saying, like,
Establishment that now
I was actually gonna. I was actually gonna say what you said, Nathan, but I guess I was coming from the point of, what do you mean? Somebody sent her a few hyperlinks. She's decided she's going to look into. All she said, she's looking into something someone sent her. He made this whole video based off of that.
Exactly.
She didn't even,
Yeah, I'm totally with you, Eli. Like we can assume things about her because of her reputation, but I'm not going to assume any of that. I take on face value what she said about what she'd looked at, and that's it.
Flat Earth theory to see maybe they got some points, bro.
Yeah, go ahead.
Brian. Yeah. You have to remember something, right? Now, I can't read Candace Owens' mind, but you must remember something. She's the third biggest podcast in the world, right? She is, right, by numbers. Only Tucker Carlson and then Joe Rogan are bigger than her, right, at present. And she's catching up on Tucker Carlson. But the point being is that she's not going to just come out and say it's flat. Even if she knows it's flat, she's not going to just do that immediately. She's going to drip feed this out. Because she's going to know, and she's going to have people around her. I'm sure her close people are going to be saying, listen, you can't just come straight out there with this because this is going to cause, she'll end up where you are, Nathan. No offense. So she has to, I would be surprised if she hasn't looked into it a lot more than she's saying. She's just
should be where I am.
She's just, sorry?
What do you mean by that? I'm not taking offense. I just don't know what you meant by it.
Yeah, she's going to. Well, she's going to end up being unpromoted by YouTube.
Oh, I see. Yeah, algorithmically, she's going to be screwed, is what you're saying.
Yeah, she has to do this in the right way if she's going to do it.
I mean, assuming she's doing anything like that's the look. I don't. Again, especially now. My bias creeps in when you say, third largest podcast. So I'm like, well, you're already playing politics. There's a lot of information that you have to know. And then based on that information, you have to play the game. You pick and choose. That's my bias. But for God's sakes, this kid, right, this guy now was one of the largest up and coming independent podcasts too. When the timing was right for that. She's just in the season behind the one he was in. And I don't want to see you guys get your heart broken, man. Don't stop looking at these celebrities thinking that, just thinking for them. Like it's best to see what they do.
They're filling in quite a few blanks, aren't they, Eli? But we'll let them.
Because, those science people, they're just part of a pagan faith.
Science people. There are no science people. It's a method.
Oh my God! What are we gonna do with these people, man? What are we?
What? Sorry. Now it's assessing what you're going to do with us. Notice that after I pointed out your clownery with your inability to disseminate to an audience what science actually is, your errors in terms of using technology as science, I didn't suggest what I should do with you afterwards. You notice where these people go mentally. So you don't like something, so what are you going to do to me is your next assessment.
What are we going to do with these people? And by the way,
what am I going to do with you? I think these clowns that don't know what science is should be rounded up. Maybe branded on their forehead with clown. Yeah? Is that what we should do with you? Should we round you up and brand you with clown because you don't know what science is? You build a lot of fallacies around arguments you think you've got. I take quite a lot of offence to that. I don't know about anybody else. You probably hear it in my tone.
Way, massive
yeah,
clicks.
Because
Go on.
yeah, because it's pretty cheeky, right? Because it's showing that he would be willing to just have all of us just shut down from audibly interacting with the world via the internet. He would be quite happy for everyone, us and anyone who promotes similar as we do, to just have their voices cut off, from the world, from the internet. That way he won't have to deal with us. Make it stop. That seems to me, this is what he's suggested. What do we do with these people? Where can we put these people so we won't have to hear them? That's what it is.
Right? Massive clicks. The more she flirts with this, there's a terrible incentive now.
There's that word again. Yeah? The more she flirts with it. Okay. Yeah, now we've got your number. We know what the issue is. It's blatantly obvious, by your own words, what the problem is here. Isn't it? I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This woman's sexually attractive to you, and her dabbling in something that you disapprove of is her flirting with something that isn't you and your rhetoric. It's kind of pathetic. While I tried to fish for that kind of reaction from the guys on the panel, and let's be honest, I didn't get the reaction I was hoping for, this is you wearing it right on your sleeves. It's sad. It's kind of sweaty and greasy and dirty, if you ask me.
Now for her. The incentive is, the more batshit theories I talk about, the more eyeballs I get on me, the more people watch my program.
Yeah, I get that. While you're on camera, you get a bit of acid reflux, and you're like trying to fight it back so no one notices. I'm sitting here swilling cherry coke before the cameras roll, and then someone asks me something, and I'm like, I just want to enjoy that moment again as a YouTuber. A bit of acid reflux amuses me greatly.
Flirts with this, there's a terrible incentive now for her. The incentive is, the more batshit theories I talk about, the more eyeballs I get on me, the more people watch my program. It incentivizes her to keep going down that path, to get more eyeballs, more views. That leads to...
No, you want more views, you want more eyeballs. She's already incredibly popular. But this is pure projection, isn't it?
To more money. And so there's a feedback loop there, an incentive structure that makes it so she will progressively get more and more idiotic.
Why do you believe this? Because it's not based on anything. You're kidding me. We've just literally spent 5 minutes discussing how you'd have to angle it carefully so you don't commit social harry-carry. And you're suggesting that she'd do it for clickbait? Well, how wrong are you? No, if she came out decrying Flat Earth heavily, then I would believe that. Because that's where the algorithmic favour walks. Why do you think I'm appealing to you, our enemy, to share links for my video when I get people to go and look at your video? I mean, in most instances, that's completely arse about face. Nobody's sending people to their enemy that's decrying them and telling you that they need rounding up, basically. No, I'm doing that on the vague off chance that I might get some algorithmic love by you actually putting my link in your video. That's never actually happened. But ultimately speaking, I get zero algorithmic love as a flat earther. And if she follows down that road, that might be where she ends up. And that was what Brian was suggesting when he said she'll end up where you are. What, completely censored at the bottom of the lists? You can literally type a title of my video and not find it. Well, yeah, that's what potentially might face her. You think the complete antithesis is true? That she's doing it for clicks? No, definitely not.
And that's,
Yes,
that's...
Go ahead, Eli.
I just see him as, a high level puppet, because you asked why does he believe what he's saying? Well, he said, why do you believe that? But it's not that he believes anything. Well, what I'm saying is he's been inundated by some other source, because he's not saying anything different. than a lot of people. He sounds just like Professor Dave to me right now. They all speak the same way. Baseless assertions, they're bigoted, they have this high trust for the pseudoscience. That's all I'm seeing here is he's just been he doesn't even know that he's been brainwashed.
In a lore that not many people are equipped to walk away from. A lot of people, many better people than Candace Owens have fallen down this rabbit hole of, you know.
Is that a little bit of leakage? Better people than Candace Owens? All right.
Yeah.
Like a jilted lover. Better girls out there than Candace have fallen for this stuff. It's
I don't really like her.
It's just a bit sad. Very amusing. Better girls out there that falling for this stuff.
Audience capture. Let me feed them whatever the fuck they want to hear. And oh, would you look at that? It turns out one of the things that they're
There's that same expletive. A very telling moment.
kind of interested in is if I shit on science and say maybe flat Earth. And usually, look, she's smart enough to not.
Sorry, you did take a shit on science. You claimed your thermos was science and your iPhone was science. You mistook technology for science, clown shoes.
Not go all the way with it, but you know, she was dumb enough to say Macron's wife actually is a man. And I don't know, does she believe in the Michelle Obama's a man theory too? So
is he still talking about Candace, right? I don't know Candace well enough to know if that's something.
Yeah, she's
said.
but she's covered that story, but it's not like just some random covering of something she hasn't looked into, kind of thing. But he's trying to make it out because it's because of that issue. He's trying to make it out as if like she just believed any or nonsense. When that wasn't her, it was a whole report from journalists in France that originated that story. I'm not saying either way, but I'm saying it wasn't just Candace Owens just randomly just came up with some nonsense about Macron's wife or whatever.
Gotcha. Okay. So he just wants to smear her as badly as possible. He is like a jilted lover. That's how he's coming across.
Yeah. Oh, you are pretty. You're just not the most pretty these days. That's what he's saying, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty sad.
Anyway, this is politics in the year of our Lord 2024. This is politics. On the one hand, running for president, you have a guy who's...
Sorry, no, that's called a segue, because none of it was politics. That's called a ham-handed segue.
Clearly sundowning, his brain is not working. He insists, bro, I'm tip-top shape. I'm doing great. That's one of the guys. He's the only thing standing between us.
What's this got to do with Candace leaving a cult of science? Just some non-sequitur you wanted to drop in at the end.
Is he... Sorry, I'm stepping on you.
No, go ahead.
Is he about to medically assess
rank
Joe
authoritarianism
Biden?
on Trump?
I'm only joking. Go ahead, one more time.
Yeah, is he about to medically assess Joe Biden?
Possibly.
After accusing Candace Owens of ridiculousness?
Possibly.
No. What he just did was he just doesn't trust the establishment or the institutions all of a sudden.
On the other hand, what do you have? A guy who's a convicted criminal, who's an extremist, who promises to reject the results of the election if he loses. This is what you got in the overturn Roe versus Wade. Like, these are your options at the top of the ticket. And then...
All right, what has the dichotomy of politics got to do with any of this? Am I missing something?
First of all, he's lying outright. I've heard that segment twice before. Says if it's a fair and square election, then yeah, it stands. But if they cheated, I'm going to challenge it. He forgot to put that in.
Okay. Even in his non-sequitur, he's ill-informed, is what you're suggesting, 10th.
No, he's not ill-informed. He's lying. I mean, if you listen to the person you're saying said something, why don't you just repeat what he said instead of leaving that major part out of it? And this thing with Roe versus Wade, the Supreme Court made that decision, not Trump. And it's now up to the states to decide what to do with it instead of nationally the Supreme Court making every state abide by what they do. So
he's contradictory, isn't he? Because he's just said trust the establishment, unless of course it's this establishment gets in, then you can't trust it.
I've just put a link in the live stream chat.
Yes.
So I'm gonna at the end I will put this guy's link in again as we started with him. But what I've actually put a link in the live stream chat to is the video he's responding to. So feel free to let Candace Owens know that at Nathan Oakley 1980 responded to Secular Talk's response video, or words to that effect. But just let her know that we responded to this clown that's obviously smearing her for no good reason. And he's not a small channel, you know, he's got 1 million subscribers plus. So he's anything but small. He's obviously well loved. And I'm sure typically he's very good. He had an endorsement earlier on from... Who endorsed him earlier? Was it Eli?
Eli didn't endorse him. Eli said he used to listen to him.
Yeah, well, that's as good an endorsement as we need to say that, you know, at some point he's had good quality material. It's just this isn't it. But anyway, my point is to do a call to action to the live stream and say that there is actually a link in the live stream chat. And if you haven't done so already, please let Candace know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me because he responded to Secular Talk. I will put a link to Secular Talk's video, as I say, when we round out this video in a couple of minutes' time in terms of response. But in the meantime, let Candace know. Is it virtue signaling? Maybe. You know, we are defending her honour in this regard. He's critiquing her. We're critiquing him. It all makes the YouTube world go round.
Then here are the talking heads below. Here's the stuff that's going on in right-wing circles online. Really makes you feel doomer pilled, doesn't it? Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out.
Yeah, well, as he's calling to action at the end of his video, we'll actually share his link as well. So this is a link to the response video by Secular Talk. That's going by in the live stream now as well. And again, if you haven't already, please let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. Let him know that we've responded to his video in regards to Candace Owens' endeavours in Flat Earth. That is to say, she clicked on a hyperlink after somebody was chatting to her while in bed. Because it's very important that develops an entire response video from a 1 million plus subscribed channel. Obviously, right? Anyway. Okay, I think that's where we round out that video. So, good fun was had by all, I believe. Hopefully, a few of the live stream audience, we had well over 120 people watching, have gone along to one or other of those videos and let the videographer know that at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. Any last remarks from you guys before I ask everyone to stay tuned for the after show?
Yeah, one quick one right at the end. He gave the whole game away. Right-wing circles, which means he's the opposite.
Any more for any more?
All I'd say is that you should go into Candace's live stream and interact with her personally, because she'll never see any of those links, because she gets
I agree.
thousands
You
of
should
links
do
every
that.
day.
You should absolutely do that, Brian. Yes, I agree.
Well, if I can do that tonight, I will.
Oh, jolly good. Let me know how you get on. I'll let you know about my busy evening next time we speak, and you're helping me out and holding this against me. But with that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, though, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So, another massive thank you to all of you. Smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member. Hit me up on PayPal and Ko-Fi and all that good stuff. Another massive thank you to today's Discord and G Plus pals for making today's live show possible. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.